And I've mentioned this in a previous video, but it's because women are not able to connect with God in the same way that men are. Women cannot handle the stresses or the pleasures of life. That's why girls don't work out.
To think that this kid's mother at one point in time went through the grueling, strenuous process of a 9-month pregnancy just for her son to turn out to this?
Women's value is based on their fertility.
Is heartbreaking. This dude is the true definition of an incel. I know this word gets thrown around a lot online nowadays, but there has never been a better use of this word other than this guy. If you're one of those people who cringes a lot, this one is going to be really hard to watch. That being said, I did warn you. Let's let the pain begin.
When your senses are overloaded in any particular way, whether they're overloaded with pleasure or overloaded with pain, if your senses keep receiving that same stimulus over and over, you are not going to have as strong of a reaction to that same stimulus. In this same sense, being that women are the physical manifestations of this phenomenon,
when your senses are overloaded with being a deplorable, disgusting virgin that no woman would ever even want to look at twice, this is the toxic waste that starts coming out of your mouth. Then, over an extended period of time, you slowly become
the physical manifestation
of an incel.
Got it!
I genuinely think this kid has some sort of like a humiliation kink or something, because it gets much, much worse. My guy's just warming up.
That is why women's value must be preserved. They can't be trusted to handle anything of greater responsibility, anything of greater importance than daily household chores.
What?
And taking care of babies. Not taking care of children, taking care of babies.
But I realized that night that I'm never going to get laid again. Really? Yeah, because women, they don't look at me.
Because once babies turn into children, that's when the psychological development comes into place, which far exceeds the capabilities that women are able to provide for the child.
I swear to God, I think that's the worst take I've ever heard about anything in my 22 years on this planet. I would honestly pay $1,000 to see this kid's mother react to this video. He just said 50% of the world's population can't handle doing anything other than taking care of babies. Not even kids, only babies. Assuming this is true, what do women that don't have babies do all day, every day? Does he really genuinely think that grown women just sit around waiting for some dude to come bust a nut in them so they can have a baby to take care of? Then, when it grows up to be 5, just instant rinse and repeat for all 4 billion women?
But going back to the value preservation, women's value has to be preserved while a man's value has to be created. Women are born with inherent value, men are born with no value, or next to no value. They're born with the potential for value. That's why when you see a young woman who hasn't done anything with her life, nobody's going to look down on her if she doesn't want to go to college or if she doesn't want to work. Nobody's going to think less of her for not wanting to do those things.
Wrong.
Here's the problem with these broad generalizations like, women are born with inherent value. You don't actually know any of these people, or the potential value they could provide. But this kid is sitting there in his room by himself, fresh off of a back-to-back Lana Rhoades and Emily Willis jerk, talking as if you know every single woman to ever be born because you watched Fresh and Fit once, where they intentionally cherry-pick not-so-smart women so they can make them look dumb.
But a woman's value is not based on that. The reason a woman has inherent value is because her value is based on her fertility. To put it bluntly, that's what it's based on. Women's value is based on their fertility. That's why it's in the best interest of a woman not to waste her inherent value and try to lock down a high value man or a man who looks like he's on his way to becoming high value as soon as she can.
Oh, okay. So now it all makes sense. The only value that women could possibly provide is that they have the potential to be fertile. Based on this logic, no woman should have a job in any capitalistic society.
Women's value is based on their fertility.
Because in order to get a job and to keep a job, you need to provide value in exchange for the money that you're being paid. So every woman who has a job in the USA should have, one, never gotten that job because all she's good for is doing household chores and taking care of babies. Two, if she does have a job, should be fired immediately because this moron over here says they can't provide anything to any company ever. So there's no point in paying them money, right?
But like I said, the more experiences, whether positive or negative, that a woman goes through decreases her value because women cannot handle the stresses or the pleasures of life. The more stress she goes through, the more she sees the world as nothing more than a negative place.
Oh my God! Wow!
We just saw the pure definition of projection on video. That was absolutely incredible. In case you haven't noticed, it is painfully obvious that this kid has absolutely no skill when it comes to talking to humans of the opposite sex. The more and more that this kid sat in his room watching Prawn 4 times a day and getting rejected in Instagram DMs 25 times a day, the more that his hatred for women built up.
The more stress she goes through, the more she sees the world as nothing more than a negative place.
When in reality, the issue is it's not all 4 billion women's fault you are repulsive. It's your fault. And because you fail to learn from your mistakes with women, because you fail to take accountability for your actions, because you offer nothing to people of the opposite sex, it's all their fault, not yours.
And I've mentioned this in a previous video, but it's because women are not able to connect with God in the same way that men are.
This is #1 bullshit.
Women are not able to renew themselves mentally. They see everything on earth through the lens of the material. They see everything on earth through the lens of sensory perception. If something doesn't excite them enough, then it's not a good thing.
This kid just used the words sensory perception, but didn't even bother looking up what this actually means. Look at all those books in the background. No way he's ever even picked up one of these damn books if he can't even do a quick Google search. What he's doing here is trying to use big words in an effort to seem smart, but what he fails to realize is when you misuse these words, it just makes you sound dumber and dumber. Every single mammal, not just human females, perceives everything through sensory perception. That's how you react to the world around you. This guy sensory perceived a little too much hentai, and look what's been physically manifested into the world.
They don't have an accurate lens of reality through which they see the world. They just don't see reality. They interpret the quality of reality through the type of sensory input they're receiving. That's why girls don't work out.
Bro, oh my god, my head, oh my god. Have you just never been to a gym? I was just at the gym about 3 hours ago. Minimum 30% of the people there were women. And I get it, obviously this guy doesn't lift or probably even go outside, but how could you possibly think that's true? Here are the statistics. Keep in mind guys, there's been a cut in this video like every 6 seconds up to this point, so this video is edited.
That's why girls don't work out.
So he watched that part back at one point in his life and was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave this part in the video, that was badass.
You ever wonder why the vast majority of women don't work out? They're fortunate enough to be born with a nice looking body, and then it just wastes away. They don't work out. They could preserve their body a little bit by working out, but that's why. It's because it hurts. Working out hurts.
What? What the fuck?
And since women only interpret the world through sensory perception, anything that hurts is a bad thing. They can't handle it. They literally can't handle working out. That's how strongly this influences their mind.
Dude, what kind of workouts are you doing where it's painful? I am literally a certified personal trainer and have been working out since I was 16 years old. And not once have I left the gym or one of my clients and I was like, oh, that workout really hurt me today. If you're out there on the gym floor doing bicep curls, hurting yourself, you 1, need to hire a trainer, 2, you're a moron, just quit working out. If something is physically hurting you, why would you consent to doing that action? At this point, I'm genuinely curious what workouts this kid is doing where he leaves the gym and he's like,
But that's why. It's because it hurts. Working out hurts.
is he just taking the dumbbell and smashing it violently against his small excuse of a brain?
But jumping back to what I was saying, even pleasurable experiences are too much for the woman to handle because they cannot refresh themselves. They can't see men in a new light. They can't appreciate different aspects of the man. All they see is whoever gives them the most dick, whoever gives them the most exciting experience, whoever takes her on the most expensive date, on the more expensive date, he's the one who's gonna take the cake. She will forever look at every other date after that with a sense of pity. You ever notice how girls who've been ran through or just more attractive girls tend to look at men with a sense of resentment or a sense of pity?
Have you ever noticed that incels tend to look at all women and generalize them all into this one thing which happens to be nothing but negative?
Tend to look at men with a sense of resentment.
Purely based on the fact that they fail to learn from their mistakes because their brain is filled with nothing but negativity and a deep-rooted hatred for the opposite sex? There's nothing wrong with being a virgin, but there is something wrong with being like this dude. I wonder what in the world has to happen in one's life for them to turn out like this. Generalizing people that you don't know into this one thing is the exact same logic that racist people use to convince themselves that other races are inferior to them. I'm genuinely convinced that even a hooker would not let this dude smash for double the price if she saw this video or had to talk to him. My eyes are burning and my ears are internally bleeding from the AIDS that we have just experienced. I genuinely feel as if my IQ is lower as a result of watching this video. If there's one lesson to be taken from this dude for the young men out there watching this video, just take everything this guy says, everything he does, and do the polar opposite. I had to watch this video more than 10 times front to back to make and edit this video, so if you made it all the way till the end, if you could please smash like, I would really appreciate that. It helps out a lot with the algorithm. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, you're a nerd, bro.